Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. This is Harry Brailsford from SMB Nation with a special webinar today, the Hour of Code, Salesforce 101 for MSPs. I'm coming to you live from the Silicon Valley, where I'm currently on the Million Mile Tour, sponsored by Lenovo and D&H and a bunch of others, where we're having a conversation about migrating away from XP. A little bit of housekeeping up front before we get started. Please use the chat feature to ask your questions. Totally encourage questions today. And then be advised of a couple of housekeeping items. You will receive a follow-up email tomorrow with a link to the replay of the webinar, as well as some links to participate in the Hour of Code and so on. I do want to highlight tonight in Palo Alto at the Microsoft store at the Stanford Shopping Center at 4 p.m. for SMB IT pros and partners. We do have one of our exam cram sessions to become a certified migration expert. So that's at 4 p.m. tonight at Palo Alto. If you'd like to learn more about that, go to xpmigrations.com if you're in the Bay Area. Look forward to seeing you. With that said, let's go ahead and get going. And folks, I'm really excited about today. I am using a touch screen from my friends at Lenovo. That's my presenter PC out on the tour. And let me tell you, it's so addicting. Before we get going, how addicting are touch screens? Well, let me tell you, when I go back to the my regular computer on the left, my Lenovo ThinkPad, my normal computer in the E420, I find myself touching the screen and nothing is happening. I'm using a Lenovo Twist on the right with a touch screen. Let's get going. I'm going to touch the screen. And there we go. So what is the Hour of Code? First of all, take a peek. You see a screenshot at code.org. And essentially, it's just as it sounds. It's a chance to pay it back, better yet, pay it forward, and also send the elevator back down to help people in our society who can benefit from exposure to an hour of code. And from that, and they're encouraging us to do it during the Computer Science Week of December 9th through 13th. So if you think about it, there's, 1,000 candles lit, as one president once said about 20 years ago, candlelight. And if you think about it, if we have an hour of code for millions of people, it can be young students, it can be old students, it can be anybody. But if we have that phenomena, there's some bright bulbs out there that are going to, go on to a career in technology and computer science and so on. So it's pretty darn cool. I'm going to be doing my hour of code on December 9th at a K-5 school where my wife is the registrar on Bainbridge Island. And I'm going to show off Salesforce to kindergartners. How cool is that? I also kind of think of it as, you might recall a very interesting show from the guy that did Roger and Me. There was a show briefly called TV Nation, and there was an episode, this is by Michael Moore, and there was an episode called The Corporate Challenge. And what he did is he went around to executives of Fortune 1 companies and asked, for example, the executive at Microsoft if he could format a floppy disk, the executive at one of the major car manufacturers, GM, if he could change oil. And actually he could. And he went around to all these different executives and walks of life and found out a lot of executives couldn't even use or do what their product or service does. And it's all in a spirit of fun, as Michael Moore always is. And it just went to show that, if we're going to be technology professionals, not only do we need to get back to the community that's been so good to us, but, darn it, do we even know how to use the technology we work with? I mean, really? Seriously? So find that sweet spot for you. Again, for me, you could argue that Salesforce is not really a programming language. I get that, but in the spirit of the hour code on December 9th, I'll be doing this at the Island School, and I encourage you to do it. How do you get involved in this? I want to talk to you about that. Wow, that's a nice little touch swipe on the screen. I want to encourage you to go through the Microsoft Voices for Innovation site to do this. Sign up for the hour code here. It's good for me, it's good for you, and it's good for Microsoft's political trade association that I've talked about before, and I want you to get involved in and kind of elevate your A game as a leader in the community, not just a technician, but a leader, and good things happen from taking a leadership role in your professional community. There's also, you'll learn about some resources for non-programmers. So my friend Jonathan Freeberg, who's going to be doing an hour of code at his kid's school, is not a programmer, but he has a tool that will teach programming to people. I don't have that tool right in front of me, but let me know if you can't find it, and if you want to participate, shoot me an email, and I'll be happy to connect you with Jonathan and this cool tool. So let's talk about it. Folks, as part of my journey down here to the Silicon Valley, yesterday I did my Windows XP migration customer speech at the San Jose Chamber of Commerce, and then today it's the Microsoft Store for SMB Nation members and IT pros at 4 p.m. in Palo Alto. And I also got a press pass. I got a press pass to the Cloud Expo Conference, the 11th annual Cloud Expo Conference that's going on right now in Santa Clara. I've been covering it for a couple of days, and I got to kind of sit down and write my blogs and get those up. And I had a really good chat. It's a very interesting show that it's customer-facing, and it was combined with a big data show, so it's not necessarily our crowd. But what I did is I trotted around the trade show floor, and one of the groups that was kind of hosting, quite frankly, they were serving beer in the final session of the expo hall in the afternoon, sort of a pub crawl. And of course, I chatted it up. Lunar Line. Well, it turns out that they are primarily enterprise and government education, but they're just starting an S&D initiative, and they pride themselves on being a service-disabled, veteran-owned small business. So we became fast friends, and with or without their permission, I'm going to go ahead and enter them as an account. I'm going to enter them as contact. I'm going to create an opportunity to do business with them, and I'm going to create a task. Folks, welcome to the Hour of Code. So let's go ahead and break out of the presentation mode. Let us go over here to Salesforce. Tell you what, let me close my email. Over to Salesforce. There we go. So let's go to home. Folks, I'm in Salesforce all day, every day. And hang on, let me just do a little housekeeping to kind of free up a little bit. There we go. So Salesforce all day, every day. It's a CRM program. I'm in a slightly different line of work than most of you. However, in the second part of the presentation, we're going to be joined by Pete Keene, who's going to share with us how you can use Salesforce as a PSA. He's got some snap-ins and some tips and tricks. So we're going to get there. So what I want to go ahead and do is I want to go to accounts. Thank you. Oh, let's stay with the touch paradigm. Actually clicking, let's create a new account. Folks, we actually have 56,000 records in Salesforce, and I'll be the first to admit it's about 40,000 real records, and so we always have a college intern somewhere out there who wants to get real-world experience and is going through and painfully deduping these records one by one by one. Let me tell you, database management or being a DBA is an art unto itself. So with that said, well, in my hour of code, here we go. We're going to enter Lunar Line. This is the same kind of example that I'm going to do for the kids over at the school. And I understand that this may be pretty simple stuff to a lot of you, but I just want to, get you thinking about how you might do an hour of code. So I met them at a trade show, this company. I'm going to put in their main telephone number, 571-481-9300. Oh my goodness, this is one of those companies that actually still has a fax number, 202-315-3003. And I'm going to put in a website. Now the website's critical. So www.lunarline.com. This is actually one of the variables we pass to check for duplicates right here, a duplicate URL. but this is programmatically passed to prevent from dupe records being entered at the into our system. We use email as a variable to dedupe, and we use websites. And again, it's not perfect, but we're doing the best we can. Let's go ahead and scroll down a little bit and put in their street information. So 3300 North Fairfax Drive. Hello, this is one of the issues, typing. Okay, suite 308. The city is Arlington, Virginia. That would explain their government niche, 22201. It's always interesting when I talk to people outside the U.S. how we have cities that have certain niches, like Detroit is for automobile manufacturing, of course Washington, D.C. for government, New York for finance, and Seattle and the Silicon Valley for high tech. And a lot of people overseas are always amazed that we, quite frankly, we work that way. I'm going to go ahead and put defense contractor. The more information you fill out for these people, the better searching capabilities you have at a future date, if that makes sense. Now, do we fill out all the fields? Of course not. Some of the information is not available to us. You know, I always look at it as we just, quite frankly, we do the best we can. So, with that said, I'm going to put them down as cloud integration. Since I know I'm at a cloud show, I'm going to go to save. The customer record is created. Boys and girls, there's a customer record in Salesforce. You are now a Salesforce programmer. Let's add the individual as a contact. And let me check my chat screen, see if we have questions. We do. Hi, Harry. This is Lindsay, Director of Marketing for CMIT Home Office. Hey, Lindsay, out of Austin. Hey, I'm going to be down in Austin in mid-December for Dell World and my workshops. I look forward to seeing you. Can you help me define the workflow between Salesforce and Autotask? I'm trying to help my franchise understand how our Salesforce partner portals can help grow new business, but I'm getting a lot of persistence. Well, I understand the cultural issue of persistence. Lindsay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold that question until Pete comes on a little bit later in the hour. He's truly the subject matter expert in terms of PSA integration. Forgive me, I'm kind of doing my obligation as an hour of code. So I will kind of continue with my process, and I'm going to type in John Surpass. Got a great title, by the way. Dean, Lunar Line, School of Cyber Security. Folks, you're seeing it in real time with the typos and all. This is kind of what it takes. Out of kindness, I'm not going to put his mobile phone in. I don't mind putting his email in because perhaps there's people out there that would like to learn about what this gentleman's company does, but mobile phone on a live stream might be crossing the line. I'll do that later. Heather, if you could remind me later on to come back and update this record with the mobile phone. Now, let's talk about the email address. And again, I don't mind doing that because he's interested in having a conversation about cloud security in the SMB market. So good for me, good for John, and good for you. This is a variable that we pass in order to dedupe the database upon entry. And so when we're entering information, if it matches either the website URL or it matches the email, we're going to get a warning about a duplicate record. Now, in this particular case, I know that it's going to meet the standard and we're going to be fine. So I'm going to click Save, touching Save. And the record's been created. So let's call this record number 56001 in our CRM system. Now, look at what we're doing in terms of how we use Salesforce today. We use it to determine whether the individual will buy an event, and we do have inline editing with the CRM system. So I'm going going to say yes. I met him at an event. I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say yes until I hear different. And folks, excuse me, I'm having too much fun on Windows 8. I'm going to say we can, yes, we can mark it to this individual. Hello. There we go. The vendor's primary. And should this individual receive our confidential newsletter for vendors and sponsors, channel strategies? Absolutely. That's inline editing in a record in Salesforce. Now, let's go ahead and create an opportunity for this individual and then a follow-up task. And this is kind of how I program and work with Salesforce. Probably not a huge mystery. In fact, you know what? For giggles, we'll send him an email and we will say, nice to meet you. But first, let's create an opportunity. So what I'm going to do is 10 City Tour 2014. Folks, we're going to have, we're going to shortly, not 2104, 2014, there we go again. We're going to shortly be announcing, let's close at the end of the month. Oh yes, Black Friday, I love it. Let's get that in as a win this month. We're going to have a multi-city tour in 2014, a one-day event that will be primarily technical. And speaking of hour of code, there'll be several hours of code as we teach PowerShell programming. That is a hot, hot topic. And so we're going on tour starting early next year, and I'll keep you posted on what that looks like for PowerShell programming and beyond. I'm going to give this one of the lower rankings of qualified opportunity. We in no way have made a value demonstration, submitted a proposal, or are we in negotiations. So a qualified opportunity, which gives a 50% probability, and let's just say for giggles that this is a $5,000 opportunity. I'm going to save that opportunity now. Folks, let me check my chat screen just to see if you have any questions. This should be pretty straightforward. And if it's, again, I realize you probably understand what I'm doing, but I'm also really trying to get you thinking about your hour of code at a local school district between December 9th and December 13th, and what can you do? So with that said, I do have a 10-city tour. I'm going to go ahead and go back to the parent record to create my follow-up task. I can actually do it inside of an opportunity, but I kind of prefer to do it here. And let's go ahead and go on down, create my task. There we go. Call John starting the 10-city tour. I'm going to give him a chance to get home. The Computer Expo conference ends late today on the West Coast in Santa Clara, so I'm going to go ahead and call him. Let's be kind and call him on Tuesday. I'll be traveling down to Florida for my Windows XP migration workshops next week. Let's go ahead and save the task. And folks, how about we send John a quick email. This is the one part I don't like about Salesforce is when you're in the account record versus the individual record, it doesn't autofill a name. And I get that because it wouldn't know which name to choose for an account. So you have to kind of type it in, and then you have to let it resolve. Now, I always copy Marianne, our longtime, what do we call her, just Marianne. I always like to copy Marianne in on my sales emails because Marianne keeps me straight. So, folks, we're going to do a follow-up. Want to chat with you next week and blog about your stuff. Great to meet you at Cloud Expo. about our conversations. I like short emails. I'm going to click send. Folks, that email's gone away, and it's updated the customer record in order to display that we are John as a contact. We have a task to follow up. I send them an email, and I have an open opportunity. Now, with that said, let me see if you have any questions. I've kind of gone through my primary presentation on the hour of code. There we go. We do have questions. Thank you very much. So, why, Kenny's asking, Kenny Lumdu? Kenny is asking, why do you enter them as a contact and an account rather than a lead? Kenny, I do that because of some of the motion that we have. I can't completely answer your question. I can answer it Harry style. And so some of the motion that we have is that we want this individual to receive our newsletter. We want this individual to receive our magazine, some of the direct mail we do, etc. And we pivot all of that off the account and the contact. A lead, it's a fair question because it's almost a philosophical question. What is a lead and what is a contact? I guess in my eyes, a lead would be closer to something that you acquired from data.com. So, and we've done that. I don't think we're subscribing to data.com right now. Let me just see if I still have data.com as an option. I'm not seeing it. I don't think we removed data.com. And so data.com, where you would do a download, in my opinion, would be a lead. So let's say I was interested in trying to sell a magazine ad to United Airlines, and I found their marketing director on data.com, and I import them, and I start the sales motion. That's too far afield for me to feel comfortable as having that an account and a contact. But if I meet someone at a trade show and I'm going to write a blog on them, and I have, let's just say, a physical touch or engagement, I'm going to call that an account and a contact. But it's a very fair question. What edition of Salesforce are you running? Hello, yes?
Hi, Harry. It's Pete. May I, I've been sitting quietly here, but can I go for a little insight on that?
Oh, yeah, Pete, no, welcome aboard. No, please interact, sir. Welcome, and thank you for, help me answer that question on lead versus account.
Yeah, the best practice with Salesforce.com is a lead is anyone with whom, or any company with whom, you have yet to conduct a financial transaction. Financial transaction being a sale, obviously, or even a quote. If you're, every customer, or rather every prospect that you have that you've not done that with yet should be listed as a lead. And the reason for that is Salesforce is exceptionally strong at tracking migrations of things from marketing campaigns through the lead process, regardless of where the lead source is, whether it's data.com, whether it's trade shows, whether it's web leads or whatever. You can set up campaigns in Salesforce.com that track all of these leads and all of the activities that are done throughout the history of working that lead from the point where it goes from being a lead to where it becomes an account, a contact, and an opportunity to sell them something. All of that is tracked, the histories are maintained, the communications are kept, and when you convert it from a lead to an account, contact, and opportunity, when you do have the chance for that first financial transaction, all of that data moves with it from the lead record into the appropriate object, be it the account record for the business-related issues, the contact record for the personal-related issues, and the opportunity for the actual financial transactional opportunity that you then have. It maintains the history of it all, and it allows you to then figure out what your return on investment is on any marketing campaign or any lead generation campaign you might have. If you haven't conducted a financial transaction with a customer, that data should not be in the account record, but it should all be housed in the lead section. That's Salesforce.com best practices.
No, and I appreciate it. You know, and it raises a point I want to make is that I have always felt, I'll just speak for myself and not my company, but I've always felt I can use about, I'll say generously, 20% of Salesforce. And it's like Excel. I probably use 20% of Excel. And I need to, practice what I preach and be a life learner and continue to get deeper and deeper and deeper into this to use it in an optimal state. And Pete, I've kind of heard that from people who use PSAs and databases and so on. It's like, I know it can do it, and I know I'm not even doing it correctly, and it's a weird feel. It's an icky tension feeling in your tummy when you know you can do it better. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but that's what we're here for.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
I'm
Pete,
sorry to step on your time. I apologize.
Oh, no. I want the interaction. That's no, this is S&B Nation style, so thank you for speaking up. Folks, we have another question from Tom Bertzloff. Tom's asking, what edition of Salesforce are you using? At Salesforce 14, my version of the truth is Salesforce will occasionally send out a notification that the internet will be down on Saturday from like 10 p.m. to 10:05 p.m. I always joke on Facebook, I'm going to go ahead and have the end of the internet party during that time. And because it's cloud-based, they dynamically update features and functionality. Pete, what's your version of the truth on how Salesforce versions?
Yeah, the Salesforce 14 is the latest version. This is the Winter 14 edition. Anyone that subscribes to Salesforce on any edition, whether it be Group, Professional, Enterprise, Unlimited, or Premium, whatever edition they have, 3 times a year, Salesforce makes a systemic upgrade to the entire system. Every upgrade they do, every new feature they have, every new capability that they add automatically becomes part of what any user can use for their respective edition. So for example, in Winter 14, the chatter function has been enhanced to enable people who don't have a license to be able to become part of the Salesforce organization, extending it from just being an internal tool to an external tool with partners, suppliers, and customers involved. And all Salesforce orgs, all Salesforce companies that use Salesforce now have that capability. The capabilities of Salesforce now, the user guide itself is over 4,000 pages. The knowledge base and the developer guides add about another 20,000 pages to that. It's an extensive development platform, and it gets upgraded continuously. So that's what the Salesforce 14 means. I think the question, though, was what edition are you on? If you would click on your home button, Harry, we'll be able to see that.
Okay. My pleasure. Here we go.
Okay, you're on the Enterprise Edition, which is the lowest level of the full-featured editions.
Oh, okay.
So what I mean by that is you can do everything on the Enterprise Edition that you need to without having to pay substantially higher license fees for things that you simply don't need, like the type of data storage that a company like General Motors would need, or that Dell would need, or that HP would need, or Lenovo, or any of these companies that use it on the higher end versions like Unlimited or Premier.
Very cool. So Pete, I want to show one thing, and then I'm going to make you the presenter. It's the second half of the webinar, folks, and I know you're here to kind of dig deep into the whole PSA scenario, so thank you for putting up with, well, quite frankly, it was a half-hour code. So thank you very much, and I do want to give a shout-out to Microsoft BFI, where you can go and sign up to do an hour of code, even if you're not a programmer, between December 9th and 13th. But Pete and I are connected right here in the events module. And what we're doing very quickly is, with the extensive event portfolio we have for the Windows XP Migration Tour, we're having people register starting very soon directly from our web page into Salesforce. So the benefits are amazing. We don't have to rekey the data or import it. The accuracy goes up, and then we can do so much more once we get the attendees into Salesforce and have a conversation with you and fly further and faster. Now, Pete, let me go over here, sir, to figure out, or Heather, if you're there, can you make Pete the presenter? Let's see. Pete, I'm going to kind of horse around. There we go. Pete, you should be offered the presenter mode at this time to show us your version of the truth on using Salesforce as a PSA. Go for it.
Hi, Harry. Thanks so much for giving me the opportunity to be here, and thanks everyone for your time.
Hello.
I want to make this really important to the listeners, so I encourage anyone that has things specifically relative to using Salesforce.
Pete, you might be on mute.
Hold on. Can you see me now? Can you hear me now?
Calling Pete.
I can see you, Pete.
Hello?
I can hear him.
Can you hear me
Harry?
now?
Harry?
I can hear you,
him.
Jen. Can you hear me?
Yeah, the audience can hear you also.
Okay, good. Okay, and you can see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay.
Folks, hang in there just a second. We'll get Pete right back.
I'm here.
Harry, he's here. Harry, he's here.
Well, I think we lost Harry somehow or other. Can you hear me, Jen? I just want to be sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pete, my bad. Pete,
Okay.
my bad. I had my speaker turned off. Folks, I'm so sorry. Pete, please continue.
Okay. These newfangled phone thingies, you know. Anyway, okay, what I was starting to say is it's really important to me that this be a well-rounded presentation for you. The purpose of this is to show you how Salesforce can be used as a modern 100% cloud-based application that allows you to have a complete 360-degree view of every customer interaction of every type, and do it in a way that you have a complete cradle-to-grave life cycle view of everything to do with the customer in one place without the need to use an old-fashioned legacy system like many of you have had to use over the years, where everything is in smokestacks, is difficult to report on, difficult to use, difficult to set up, difficult to train on, and so forth. The concept of Salesforce is just that. It's putting everything into one place on a cloud-based platform where, as we discussed before, 3 times a year gets a major upgrade that costs you nothing. And all you pay for that is an ongoing monthly charge for the license based on the number of seats you need. And contrary to what many people think, Salesforce traditionally becomes one of the lower cost options for PSA, and it eliminates all sorts of problems that exist in the historical legacy, smokestack, old-fashioned technology market that's out there today. Let me start at the beginning. I'm just going to touch on a couple of things real quickly, and if people have specific questions, Jennifer, if you could tell me if anyone has some chat questions. I've got the bar to the side.
Yeah, actually, this is Heather, Pete. I'm running under Jenny's license, and I'm forwarding all these questions to Harry at the moment, but I can forward them to you as well.
Yeah, go ahead and forward them to Pete as well. And thank you. I see one from Michael Hudson. Hey, Michael, I'm in Oakland right now, and I hope to see you at the Palo Alto event tonight at 4 p.m. Okay. Pete, you'll get the questions forwarded to you now. Please continue, sir.
Okay. So on the screen, what you're looking at is the home page. We know that VARs and MSPs love dashboards. The system comes with basically an unlimited number of dashboards. And unlike some systems where generating reports and dashboards requires a PhD in programming, you can do them on the fly in Salesforce.com. The system starts at the home page. Obviously simple connect to links for recent transactions, your dashboard list. You also have your chatter feed. Chatter is a collaborative environment that allows people like VARs and MSPs to work collaboratively with other people in their organization, external contractors, suppliers, customers, and so forth. And it allows sharing data. It allows storage of files. It eliminates duplicate systems that are necessary with other systems, because you can do all of your file sharing, all of your posting, all of your many-to-many communications and so forth within it. Additionally, you have your task management system that can be used for setting up tasks for yourself individually, setting them up for you and others, or just setting them up for others as your system allows. It also allows you to use workflows that are highly automated examples, and contrary to the way workflows are implemented in some of the old-fashioned legacy systems out there, workflows in Salesforce allow you to do anything other than create something new. You can't create a new customer record, for example, but you could update fields within a record. You can set tasks. You can set timed workflow items to happen on a various set of circumstances and so on. And all of that can be fully integrated with task management, which is critically important because task management is going to help drive your dispatch and what have you. You have calendaring management for shared and group calendaring across your organization, both internally and externally within communities you can set up. Moving across the tabs at the top, each one of these tabs is an object. Data.com, Harry mentioned, I think it's the greatest part of Salesforce. We have a database now of close to 20,000 VARs and MSPs who we communicate with on a regular basis, and it basically costs us almost nothing for that database because we get it and it's fully integrated into Salesforce. What I want to show you here, I'm looking at the SalesReach PSA variation for VARs and MSPs. I'm going to go up here and I'm going to show you what this is built off of. This is a derivative of our SalesReach Telecom application. SalesReach Telecom is used by carriers and telecom agents and the like to run their whole businesses on. We've got carriers from full-size carriers like Mitel Net Solutions and Altiva, all the way through one-person VARs using this for those VARs that are and MSPs that are also doing telecom. What we've done to create an PSA version of this is we've added on modules because unlike what I heard earlier about Salesforce not being really a development environment, it really is. It's exactly what it is. It's no longer a CRM. It has all of the CRM functions, but you can develop pretty much anything in it. And in running a business that I owned and sold for a very nice premium last spring, I wrote this application, SalesReach Telecom, for my telecom agency, and then about 4 years ago brought it to Salesforce, and it was vetted and found to be a great product, and it is still to this day the only vertical market product that takes Salesforce.com and customizes it with all the object customization, all of these are objects, setting all the fields, formulas, and so forth to support the telecom world. Well, we wanted to do the same thing in the VAR and MSP space, so we took it and we enhanced all of that, everything that comes with that, including all of the vertical market customization and so forth. And by adding additional development to this, we were able to create an environment where we have complete project management, resource assignments, resource management, resources of course being people, time and expense management, and a whole variety of other things that are just too many to put on the screen that are all down here. The point I'm getting to with this whole thing is that somebody can buy Salesforce or buy one of the old-fashioned legacy programs and spend years and lots of money and time developing it to be what they need. The beautiful thing about Salesforce with something like SalesReach PSA is that it's completely customized out of the gate, but it is so simple because Salesforce is an easy-to-use development environment that you can add and modify things that are unique to your business very easily. I'll give you an example. I'll just bring up a project, for example, and this is the basic project screen that comes with everything. And we have a project summary with a business model and success factors and checklists to go through and what have you, project estimates and all this, and this is all just part of it. But try doing this with some of the other products that are out there. Let's say you said, okay, this is great, but I need something that does something, additional functionality. You can program this very easily, view the fields. You can create new fields, formulas, workflows, what have you, within the setup module, which is what we're in now. And let's say we want to do a lookup relationship. Simply check it. you relate it to one of the objects, and as you can see here, there's a whole lot of objects in here because we cover the gamut of things, everything from commission processing for telecom sales, all the way up through asset management for inventory purposes. So let's choose assets as an example. We'll give it a field label. The field name automatically propagates. You can give it help tasks and descriptions. You can set requirements and so forth. I'm just going to skip over that here. You can then assign this new field to those profiles for the different profile users you have and make them visible or read-only or not visible at all. You can assign that profile by profile, role by role, person by person. And then you can add the field to the particular layout just this easily. And we got two layouts we're using here. We're going to use the Sales Reach Asset layout as the example, and we'll save it there. And so now, when I go up here to an opportunity, which of course is the sales opportunity, and I look at the given opportunity, here underneath the opportunity, I've got my assets, and an asset is the listing of all those individual product pieces that comprise that opportunity, that closed sale. And you come here, and where are we here?
Hey, Pete, well, when you're ready, we have a legacy question from the first part of the webinar. Let me know when you're ready for that, sir.
Okay, that's fine. Go ahead. The point is
Okay.
it just gets added to it just that easily.
Cool.
Pete, the question?
Lindsay, the director of marketing at CMIT, one of the largest franchises in SMB, she asked, can you help me define workflows between Salesforce and Autotask? I'm trying to help my franchisees understand how our Salesforce partner portals can help grow their business, but I'm getting a lot of resistance. Can you answer that, Pete?
Yeah, there's a couple of ways to approach it. Number one, you can utilize workflows to integrate Autotask to Salesforce. The challenge becomes having the people integrate that API connection. I know Autotask has APIs to Salesforce. The problem is having somebody that understands the IT and VAR business along with understanding the Salesforce integration. Case in point, we have the partner portal modules baked into Sales Reach PSA, and it includes all of the functionality that an enterprise user has. The purpose being no longer needing to have an integration to an external old-fashioned system like Autotask, but have it all holistically within Salesforce. Well, I understand that a lot of VARs and MSPs have used Autotask for a long time and some of the other products that are out there, and they don't want to change, and that's fine. If you want to integrate between Autotask and Salesforce, the API connection has to be set up to the CMIT org. Then the partner portal pages have to be able to draw on that to be able to enable them to utilize the data that's in Autotask. You can't go directly from Autotask to the partner portal. My suggestion would be the better solution would be to enhance the partner portal with that functionality that's necessary for the CMIT user to not have to work in disparate systems, but to rather port that data out of their old Autotask system and put it right into CMIT's partner portal program as part of Salesforce. Otherwise, you're going to have to do integration between all of those disparate legacy Autotask customers and your Salesforce organization, which would be a bear. We can take that offline too, and anyone that has specific questions about this sort of thing, Harry, is it okay if I give them my contact information?
Yeah, no, please do, Pete.
My email is Pete, P-E-T-E, at reachsoftware.com, and my direct phone number is 843-321-4216. And Lindsay, I can definitely give you some guidance in how to do that, because we've done it before, and we basically what we've been finding is people, once they see what you can do within Salesforce, understanding it, they end up jumping off of the older systems and moving right in.
And Heather, if you could make a note with tomorrow's follow-up email, if we could include Pete's contact information. Hey, Pete, another question real quick. And folks, we've got about a quarter hour left, so this has been fantastic. Got about another 15 minutes to go. Michael Hudson asked earlier, can I import contacts from Outlook? Pete, I think I can even answer that one. The answer is yes.
Yeah, it couldn't be easier. Outlook is directly connected. Every user has the ability to not only import their data from Outlook, but also utilizing standard included functionality of Salesforce.com, they can do desktop integration. Well, one of the problems with using a Mac on this is I get those pop-up windows sometimes. With the desktop integration, you can include Salesforce for Outlook, which will actually create a sidebar within Outlook that'll show you all of your Salesforce objects so that you could actually work in Outlook and update your leads, accounts, contacts, opportunities, your projects, your time and billing, your expenses, right up to and including being able to do things like your QuickBooks integration for billing purposes and that sort of stuff. So it does a very nice job of that. As far as importing, it couldn't be simpler. Each user can simply go into their personal information, into their personal setup, click on import, import my accounts and contacts, and you follow a simple wizard that will allow them to import them. And if you are importing them from Outlook, it'll recognize that it's an Outlook file, and it'll do all the parsing of all of those Outlook fields directly in automatically.
Super. Well, let's rock, Pete. We got, like I say, just over 10 minutes left, and I almost feel we've done a disservice. It's such a huge area, but let's rock and roll.
Okay. No, that's fine. These are great questions. One of the biggest things for VARs and MSPs we find is dispatch. How do you do dispatch? Couldn't be simpler. You can create list views on the fly for different things, and in doing that, you can set it up so that you have a list view that would be, for example, your dispatch view. Setting up a view was as simple as hitting create new view, choosing the fields, and so forth. But let's take it a little further, and let's show you how you would actually take somebody and actually dispatch them. And let's presume for a moment that this person here, John Amos, was actually a field technician. What you have to do to dispatch them is on the view that you created for your dispatchers or your technicians, you click the calendar view. You want to put John on a schedule? Okay, he's going to be on Thursday at what time? Whatever time. We'll put him on this time. It brings up an event log. You put in your subject. There are predefined subject matter that you can have in there, and you can, of course, edit it any way you want. You can change the times any way you want. You can associate it with any object that you want, like a project or a milestone on a project, or a specific opportunity, or a case, which is Salesforce's generic term for a ticket. I prefer the term ticket because that's more in line with our industry. And we can modify that to do that, and so forth. I'm going to put this back to account right now. I'll save. And the end result is it's now saved. And with the workflow functionality, hey, look at that. There's the pop-up that John just got in his Salesforce environment saying you got to be here at this time. Obviously, you can schedule that as whatever time you want. If John is not somebody that really generally needs to be in the system, you can give him a Chatter Plus license, which would enable him to be involved with tasks and accounts, and it costs a whopping $15 for that user a month. So there's all sorts of ways to do this, so you can set your dispatch and your service order work done and have it done real easily. Time and expense management is a breeze. Your time and expense is just built right in. You have a new record of time. You simply click the New button, and it comes up, and you fill out the forms. You look up the resource, the project, pay period, whatever it might be, save it. Couldn't be easier. Same for doing expenses. Reporting is a breeze, and so forth. The basis of the whole thing, though, is being able to bring in new business. And we know from experience that one of the largest challenges that VARs and MSP have is not their technical expertise. They're great and knowledgeable and really good at the technical side of things. Sometimes, in some cases, the area that they need the most help with is in sales and marketing, getting those potential opportunities in the door and getting them moved from lead all the way through to become an account, a contact, and an opportunity that can be sold. That's where we can really help you. The first thing that we do when somebody comes on board with us is we recognize that VARs and MSPs have businesses to run. They can't be spending all their waking hours setting up a system like this. So we do it for them. We go and we take all of their legacy data off of these old-fashioned legacy systems they've been using for years, and we do the migration for them into Salesforce.com at no charge. Once that's all done, we then go through and find out from them, how can we assist you in generating more leads for your business that can be closed in the quickest possible fashion? And we set that up for them, and we guide them with that. Once we've gotten that done, we then teach them how they can use this system to be what it's supposed to be, which is a tool that will enable them to grow their business with a minimum of effort on their part at the lowest possible cost per user per month, with the greatest upside potential for improvement over time at no additional cost for them. And that's why we've been so successful, because the fact of the matter is, this is a big business made up of a lot of small businesses. And small businesses need all the same functionality that enterprises and global organizations need. They just don't have the resources to do it, and they don't have the margin of error to do it wrong. So we mitigate that by putting this packaged application in and then configuring it in a way that is most useful for their individual business practices. Does that make sense?
Yeah, Pete, it does. And, you know, folks, I just want to put a wrapper on that. And Pete, if you could peek over at your chat screen, we've got some questions queued up. If you're not seeing those, I'll be happy to read them to you. But you've got about a little over 5 minutes left, and I get it. And I bumped into Pete's organization at another industry trade event, and we initially talked, of course, about engaging with Pete at a sponsorship level, as you would think. I go through a sales motion, by golly, using Salesforce, and pretty quickly on the conversation became that we could actually use some of Pete's, I'm going to call them snap-ins or modules, because if you folks take a look at Salesforce software, you'll see he goes way beyond the IT business. So he has an events module, and he has a quote module and some other things. So we decided to, you know, find ways to conspire together and work together. And Pete, you're also just an approachable, extroverted, kind of nice guy. So with that love tap, sir, do you see the questions? Lindsay had a follow-up. Bob Dogger has a question.
Yep. The first question is a really good question, and my apologies for not addressing this. What does PSA stand for? It stands for Professional Services Automation, and the two key words there are professional and automation. You guys are professionals. You have expertise that are valued by your clients. We need to take those things that are repetitive tasks that are done over and over again and automate them so that you can spend your valuable time and your client's valuable time and money by using it to take your expertise and translate that into better results for your customers, as opposed to taking your valuable time up in trying to administrate a back office system. So PSA stands for Professional Services Automation. Next question from Jenny. This is a great question. What is the back-end database for Salesforce? This is one of the key things that makes Salesforce so unique. The Salesforce database is written in a language called Apex. It is a completely homogeneous global database where data is shared across all platforms in various server farms. So this field right here that says Southeast Wholesale Foods 82 may be sitting in NA15, which is a server farm, but that server farm is not in one location. Those are virtual servers all over the world. So our data is dispersed out right through with data from everybody else, but because of the unique way that Salesforce was built, there's a complete and total security with this that is unmatched in the business. And this is why every global enterprise, and I mean that literally, every global enterprise is either using Salesforce already or considering using it. Salesforce.com as the business operating system is today what Microsoft Office Suite was back in the early 90s to these businesses. Every one of them is moving to this, and that's moving farther and farther down the food chain. And that's why for 3 consecutive years, Forbes has named Salesforce.com the most innovative company in the world. Anyway, we can't just set up Salesforce to replace, can't we just set up Salesforce to replace Autotask? Absolutely, positively. And what you do, and the easiest way to do that is purchase Salesforce. We can help guide you on what version to get, and load it with SalesReach PSA. And you're all set up to go, and then you can tweak it from there. Then it's tweaks, not build. Let's see.
Yeah,
we run into a one-to-many problem. All franchises have their own Autotask licenses, but partner portal for Salesforce. That's the problem, Lindsay, with integrating. You'd have to have API integrations from each one of theirs, because remember, Autotask is simply a set of servers that are provisioned for individual customers, and every one of them has their own unique information. So it's just not a viable alternative. The more viable alternative is to migrate their data in, and we can assist you with that. How much does the SalesReach PSA software cost? For all this good stuff, it's $50 a user per month if you pay the highest price we have. So it's not expensive. If you were to get the Enterprise Edition, which is the edition that gives you all the capabilities that every global company can use, but sized to our size businesses as small businesses, you're looking at $125 a month for the Enterprise license and $50 for the SalesReach license. If you have 3 people, you multiply that by 3. There are lesser expensive versions like the Professional Edition, which are $65, and then our software would still be the $50 on top of it at the highest price. It goes down to $30 on a 3-year contract. So, you could be anywhere from $95 a user up to about $175 a user, depending on how you purchase it. I think that's all the questions that have been passed through. Are there any other questions to be chatted over?
Let's see, Pete, we are at time, folks, so thank you very much, and I'll do a wrap in a minute. We have Eric Fletcher asking, back to Michael Hudson's question, these contacts are imported, not synced. Can you speak towards synchronization of Outlook contacts?
Synchronization with Outlook?
Right. So what Eric is saying is what you demonstrated appeared to be a linear import, but not necessarily synchronization, like when the data is changed at a future date, does it automatically sync into Salesforce?
The answer is yes, it does, if they have chosen to use the desktop integration that comes with it for Salesforce for Outlook. If they use this, it will completely integrate, and any change made in Outlook will be reflected in Salesforce and vice versa. The other thing is, you mentioned about deduping. Deduping is a breeze in Salesforce. There are apps on the App Exchange that will do it, and there are paid apps and there are free apps, and they're very, very good for the most part. So it makes duplication errors pretty easy. And offline, we'll talk about that, Harry. I can help you with that.
Sure. Well, I'll tell you what, Pete, with your permission, we always like to stay on time here at SMB Nation, just out of respect for the customer. Folks, it is the top of the hour. Thank you so much for joining our weekly educational webinar. And I just want to highlight a couple of things. The intent for the first half of the webinar was to get you excited about the hour of code. So, Pete, Pete, I'm going to be waiting to hear what school you're going to go teach at, buddy boy.
Tell me where you want me, Harry. I'd be glad to do it. You know I'm always there for it.
All right, cool. And folks, it's a way to give back. I mean, seriously, the community's been good to everybody on this call, so it's time to give an hour back, and there's some bright bulbs out there. Go to Microsoft Voices for Innovation to participate in this, and it's just like it sounds, www.voicesforinnovation.org, and you can be part of the Microsoft political activity. Since we essentially, at the end of the day, come from that community. Next week, join us for another weekly webinar at 10 a.m. Pacific. Folks, you'll be receiving an email tomorrow, a thank you note, along with contact information for Pete, appropriate links for the Hour of Code, and the replay link. With that said, Pete, thank you so much. Folks, thanks for attending. Have a great, great day. See you later.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.